I think my mic is on. We're doing this. We're live. I don't know. Nick is frozen. Oh, hey, welcome to the 75th episode of Sawdust in My Garage podcast, Sawdust Nation podcast, I believe it is, with your host, guest host, AJ from Crafted and NJ, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works. Woodworks or Works?
Works, correctly? LLC. Put some respect on it.
Forgot
what
the
are you,
LLC.
New?
Yeah, I'm new. Hey, guys. So then we have Nick from NPG Creations and Josh over at North Country Woodworking. All I have to say is Nick, Josh, and Nap have been doing a bang-up job on this podcast. It's,
That's all sarcasm.
it's not. It's all in my sarcastic voice. So anyway, I'm going to throw it over to Nick because he's got some exciting news.
And thank you to PWN CNC for sponsoring this episode, making it all possible here. Check them out if you're looking for that spindle experience for your CNC machine. I just got a spindle from Daniel over there. Josh just got the water-cooled 1.5 kilowatt spindle. We're going to talk about that later. But I'm going to tell you, it's the business or the bee's knees. So give them a shout out on Instagram at PWNCNC or www.pwncnc.com. Use promo code SawdustNation10 for 10% off all those goodies that you can get over there. So, and next up, Totalboat, making that great epoxy. They've been supporting the podcast for a long time. So do yourself a favor and get on that boat, that Totalboat. If you want that 10% off promo code, give us a shout out. Slide into our DMs at Sawdust Nation Podcast on the big IG, and we'll hook you up. And last but not least, Jtechphotonics. You guys are awesome. If you're looking for that diode laser upgrade for your CNC machine, go ahead and hit them up at jtechphotonics.com and tell them Nick sent you. But and I got to give Orca a shout out because Orca Abrasives has definitely been stepping up, and they've been putting out sample packs of their discs, their sanding discs. So let's see if we can get some disc pics and put them up on our Instagram for you guys. You can see
I've
what
sent
Orca
you plenty of disc pics.
Okay.
Right,
well, anyway, thank you to Lawrence over there for helping us out. So with that being said, we're going to move into what's in your shop. Obviously, AJ, what do you got going on in that flag workshop over there?
Well, like always, and it's going to sound like episode 1 through 50. I got flags, flags, and more flags. As you saw on the Instagram, I just did a 4-footer, and I absolutely hate doing 4-foot flags. And I also hate that I can't find any decent wood. I can't find reasonable prices. It is absolutely ridiculous now. And I'm doing the big flags out of cedar because, they all want them outside or in garages. So I've said, let me just do cedar so it's better for the weather.
Why don't you just do teak?
Because of money. I'm trying to cut my costs down a little bit so I can jack up the prices.
I mean, pine is like teak these days, so
Well, so why do you hate the 4-foot flags?
Well, the main thing is my small, medium, and large flags are all 1.5 inches thick. If I do the 4-foot flag at 1.5 inches thick, it's not thick enough to give you deep enough waves. So I've done it before,
so
and I also have. There's Josh's wood rising. Anyway, if I do it at 1.5 inches thick and I carve it out, my fear is, which I've had this happen, I've had 4-footers cup really, really bad. And so I want some girth behind it. So as I carve, I can at least have that wood to hold it together.
Can I ask you, have you ever thought about putting steel on the back or steel splines to make it to keep it straight?
I have. I was going to on the 4-footer, but I also didn't want to add any extra weight to it. And my biggest thing was I wanted it to look wavy on 4-foot. Especially I have a 5-footer and a 6-footer coming up. So as I go larger, I'm going to have to go thicker. So, I don't want 1.5 inches, 6-foot flag. I mean, if I was making it flat, who cares how thick it is at that point? But I want some depth to it to give you that wave. That big of a flag, you need some deep waves. And I carved it out the other day. It actually came out a lot better than I expected. And then the best part was it was a Christmas gift. and messaged the guy and was like, hey, I'm really sorry. I've been delayed because of, wood is outrageous. Like I can't find anything good to use. And he's like, oh, no worries. Take your time. I'm like, wait, take your time. Christmas is 25 days away. And he's like, oh, I don't need it for Christmas anymore. I'm like, well, I've been rushing this whole time. So
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
Yeah,
right?
Not like, hey, I changed my mind. You got some time with it. I'm running around like a chicken without a head. I took a day off, went down to my local lumber yard. Oh, which I found out they don't sell kiln-dried cedar in rough sawn. I found it out when I was loading it in my truck and there was water dripping out of it.
No.
And I'm like, you didn't this is green? The kid's like, yeah, it's green. I'm like, you didn't tell me that. I just spent almost $600 on wood now that I have to let dry. I was planning on like taking it, cutting it, gluing it almost within in like 3 days. I had to wait another week and a half to let it dry in my back room. Luckily, it dried out.
Did you take a moisture meter to it?
I did. I kept checking it, and the lowest it got, I think, was like 5% or even lower than that.
That's not bad.
Someone's getting hurt. Okay, I'm sorry, but that right there, like, I would have been mad, honestly.
Well, I've been warned by Pete over at Petrie's Workshop. He told me a couple times, about boards and beams, and I love their place because they have so much stuff, but they are high priced. And I was in a pinch and figured, let me just go there. I know the guys there. I'll talk with them, see what I could do. And let's just say I wasn't so happy afterwards, but it is what it is. The flag's glued up. I have another 4-footer on deck that I have to glue up and get carved out. But yeah, the 4-footers are just a pain. But I sat down with Kim the other day and we both looked at each other and said, we need to write down every single order that you have for Christmas and for after. Because right now I'm pushed out to June with orders. Wow. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but I must have said it at one point, but I was crying that I wasn't getting any orders in the beginning. I am slammed with orders right now and get probably one order a day of some kind of variety. Flags.
We told
mainly
you
flags.
that was going to happen.
I would have never in a million years ever thought.
You got to close it off. Shut it down until you catch up.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm pushing them out so far. I'm like, somebody said, hey, I really want one for Christmas. I was like, I can't do it for Christmas. I could do it for, May, end of May. They're like, all right, I'm fine with that. I think if I told people September of next year, they'd be fine. I've never had this much good feedback on flags. I really thought flags would never have taken off for me. And I'm happy that it did.
Dude, you make amazing flags though. Like I've watched, like from when I first started listening to the podcast, I started looking at your stuff and then started looking at what you're making now. Those flags are amazing. Like, you have people have good reason to be ranting and raving about your work.
Yeah, well, if you look, I think I posted one up. I don't remember, maybe in May or something like that. It was May. I posted up my very first one compared to the one that I just finished, and I mean I hate giving myself props on it. I'm my worst critic, like we all are, and I think my stuff is literally junk because I mean I don't know. I look at it and I go, it's a flag. It's cool that I made it out of wood, but it's impressive to finally see like, hey, I could go 2 years back and see what I did to 2 years now. And it's crazy to see the depth that I'm getting, the even on a red, white, and blue. It's amazing. But anyway, yeah, the shop is filled with flags, cornhole boards, flags, wavy, flat, you name it. I need to make it. And I also have another fair coming up this weekend so I need to get a few things prepped for that. I literally got wiped out.
How's that been going, man?
It went well. My very first one was very good. I literally sold a flag before we even opened. It was the people across from us saw the flag that I did for breast cancer, and the guy sent his kids over, his 2 little daughters. They were so adorable. They literally walked up to me and said, my daddy wants to know how much. And so I told them. They run back to him. They run back to me with cash, and I gave it to him at the end of the day. He goes, I knew I had to snatch it up because he explained the story behind it with his aunt and whatnot. So he's like, I knew I needed it. But the past 2 other ones, I've gotten so much feedback from it. Literally, people are like, your stuff is so much better than everybody else's here. I'm like, thanks. I mean, I don't know if that's,
That's
cool or
awesome.
whatnot. But yeah, I've sold out. I almost sold everything that I had last fair. And
So-
it was
What
Must
do
be
you
nice.
do? What do you do if you're sold out and it's not even 3 hours in? You just pack up and well, I guess I'll go home now, right?
I don't know. I really, really don't. But it's really, really cool meeting a lot of the people because you could see. I actually had a guy come up to me. He's like, "Hey, can you make a fold down table for my laundry room?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I made one for my own house." Blah blah blah. Hit the excitement in his face. He was literally yelling to his wife. He's like, "Honey, he could do a table that folds down." I'm like, "Yeah, well, why not?" I'm like, "You're mounting it though," and he's like, "That's fine. I'm fine with that." So I mean, of course, the military veterans, the police officers, firefighters who are all coming over, seeing the flags. And I bring even one tip that I can say is since you guys are starting to do fairs, bring stuff that's in progress. People love that. Literally, I got more feedback on a flag that wasn't even done than I did on the one that was done. And it was pretty neat, so they could see different things that are happening and whatnot. But
I've seen light bulbs pop up on these guys.
Okay, listen, AJ. Nick and I have been doing some trying to do fairs. Maybe it's just the locations, but we haven't been having much luck, dude.
It's not really a fairs though.
No.
It's not really fairs. It was a couple hours at a military appreciation event and honestly, I think it was a mistake because we were at Harley Davidson and
Yeah.
who's gonna ride down the road on their hog with a flag under their arm, right?
hey,
Nobody.
you know what you do?
What's up?
You jack the price up a little bit beforehand, and if they can't take it then, you take down their number, you take a payment, you ship it off to them.
Yeah, so that's what we were telling them too, but nobody.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were.
But a lot of folks though, they responded well to the coasters that we made because they could just throw them in their saddlebags. It was like coasters going like crazy.
Yeah,
Small things definitely sell. I sold trays like crazy. People want these flag trays that I sent you, Nap.
Thank you for that, by the way.
People are going ham over them. I'm literally getting messages daily going, I want one. I need 2. I need 5.
I'll send it to you,
How
Nick.
can I get them?
Wait. Nap got a flag tray off you?
No, he bought it off of me for $50.
Okay, so he bought it off of you? Man,
I'll sell it to you for $49.
No, I don't care what the price was. I was just like, damn.
Hey, he doesn't care, so I'm getting $49. No, I'm just joking. I did send it to him. What's your email? bigd@gmail.com.
What are you talking about? The file?
He sent me a file.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't care about the file. I just thought you meant he sent he bought a tray off you.
Yeah, he bought 3 of them, $100 a pop.
Well, how much do you sell those for?
$40.
That's an easy 40 bones, man.
Yeah, I have to change out the bit 4 times, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but how many do you make at a time? Like 4 or 5?
No, I usually do 2 at a time. But
they take a minute to carve. It's because our machines aren't high powered machines on ball screws all the way around. So you got to take shorter
I'm on rack and
passes.
pinion.
Well, mine are now.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah, but you don't run your machine to full potential either.
I'm running it faster, sir, and I'm watching that thing jiggle like Jello when it's on the
Does
table.
it stutter? Does it stutter when it runs across a board? Oddly.
No, that was my
You're not
very
running
first
it
time
fast
doing
enough.
No. Well, I remember that, but I had a very nasty noise the first time I did a juice groove on that thing because I didn't know anything about the CNC. I was like, juice grooves, fine. One pass, I did a full juice groove, and I was like, this is not good.
Abort mission.
But those trays in total, I think I could pocket 2 of them out in less than an hour. I want to say 40 minutes or so, and then to do I have to pre-pocket the stripes out because I did it once without. So I did it all with the V-bit, and it left so many lines in there. So I use a 46176-K, the flat bottom bit from Tools Today. Not flat bottom. It's a 1/8-inch compression. And so I do all my pockets with that and then do it with the RC-1145 for all the V carving. And then I got to do another 1/8-inch bit to cut around the outside. So like I said, I'm changing the bit 4 times, but
Why are you doing an 1/8 inch bit around the profile when you could just run that 1/4 inch bit around the profile?
I don't, you know, the weird thing is I don't use 1/4 inch bits at all. I use 1/8 inch. That's my go-to. Saves on
mine too.
material, saves on, I can nest everything a little closer.
Yeah. I mean, but for speed though,
Your pocketing would be faster if you used a 1/4 inch.
yeah, if you use a 1/4 inch, you would cut down a lot of time. And it, even if it was just for pocketing.
The reason I use an 1/8 inch compression is, one, the trays, the stripes will be they wouldn't work with a 1/4 inch because they're too small. And then on top of that, the 1/4 inch, you'd have to get a compression because the compression is flat on the bottom. If you use a regular one, you'll get lines.
You can use down cut.
Look at the tips of them. I learned this from that guy that we all know, Mike over at Veteran Woodco. If you're pocketing, use a compression, because actually I do have a flat bottom bit, but the problem is that I run into is if I'm using Oramask, it doesn't have like cutting flutes on the sides. So it's just meant for flattening the bottom, but the compression bit works great. I literally have no lines whatsoever in that thing. If you haven't, definitely try it out.
I ran into this issue when I did one of those squadron coin things I did not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago. I think it was, I talked to Nick and AJ about this because I was wondering what kind of bits, because I was getting really bad lines. And I bought a flat bottom bit and I tried to use it with Oramask, and it just tore the Oramask up because it doesn't have that cutting capability. Like you were saying, AJ. Did end up buying a compression bit, and that is my go-to bit to use if I'm using Oramask in that situation. If not, there's other ways to get around that too. You can always do a cleaning pass at the end.
I mean, I would love to speed up my process and use literally only one bit, but it is what it is. I can get those things knocked out in like an hour and change. I mean, 2 trays. So if I could do back to back, it's not too bad. And I'm doing other stuff while it's happening.
So you're doing about $80 an hour?
Hopefully at that. That's if I don't screw anything up, because if you saw my stories the other day, I screwed up 3 trays that I was trying to do. And,
I saw that.
I cried for you a little bit.
Dude, I was like, don't worry, it's all into the wastewood. And I was like, oh my God, that's the edge of the tray.
You could have made them cigar holders.
Yeah. I made my first cigar holder on the CNC, and it sold. Literally last fair, some girls like, my boyfriend would love this. I was like, you can take it for some money.
It was actually a mistake. Here
you can have that for money.
It's funny because like the bourbon, whiskey, and cigar holder things, because that's becoming a thing again. Like people are enjoying whiskey and cigars. Like I didn't realize that was a huge thing until like recently listening to some coworkers start talking about this stuff. I'm like, y'all do that?
Yeah,
y'all,
it's a thing.
Like it's a real thing. Okay.
I had some local guy that has a shop not too far from me, and he takes like everything locally made and he displays it. He didn't get into the details to say like if something sells, does he take a percentage? Well, I didn't really get that far into him, but he looked at the cigar tray and was like, because I just moved into this shop, he's like, I want to make a cigar bar up top and whatnot. He's like, when I do, I'm having you build me all those. He goes, I want a whole bunch of them. I was like, all right, you let me know.
I love those contracted jobs, those big jobs.
Yeah, right. And now the last thing I'm going to say, because it's dealing with flags. I have the company I work for, and I want to know, before I get into this flag, whose smoke detector is that? It was driving me crazy in the last episode.
Nap.
I'm going to send you a 9-volt battery. Just change it.
So no, I have 9-volt batteries. Okay, I'm sorry.
I heard it on last episode, and I'm like looking all over my house. I'm like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, I wonder if that's NAP.
I can't edit it out either because it's just, yeah.
You have to sit through and listen for everything.
Not doing that.
Completely like Nap is in the middle of talking. He's like, so my and that's how I did it. Josh just completely blanks it out. But anyway, the company I work for just got bought out by a much larger company. Still the same. We're still doing the same stuff and whatnot. But anyway, my father got into talking with the vice president and talking about woodworking and whatnot. And he's like, oh, what does your son do? So he showed him the flags, and he's like, hang on one second. So the vice president called the owner of the company, or the president, and he calls him and says, I'm sorry, he calls his wife and says, this would be a perfect gift for Matt, the owner. And he said, oh, okay, I want a 3-foot flag with the company logo on it and the company name. And here's the kicker to it. It's getting presented in Las Vegas on December 11th in front of 600 plus people. And I'm going to be in the audience, and I'm going to probably poo my pants.
Listen, that's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm
slightly jelly right now. That's good.
He's got 33 locations. So I'm wondering, maybe if he likes it, maybe he'll want one for each location.
And Crafted and NJ is closed until next year because he has a contract.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I need a extended leave from my job that you hired me at.
Actually, you know what you could do? You could work it into where he pays you to just do that, and you make your hourly wage. Wouldn't that be
Imagine
something?
it. That would be nice.
I don't know what you make hourly, but it could be beneficial. It'd be like, it takes me 100 hours to make a flag.
Let's just put it this way: him paying just for the flag would be much cheaper.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, just think of it this way: if you did it that way, you'd be like, I had to cut down the tree, I got to dry out the wood.
Look, I have to grow the tree. I have to tend to the tree. I have to become one with the tree. But yeah, so I'm hoping that maybe that turns into something. Like I said, maybe he'll want 30 or more flags to be built, which
that'd be cool, man.
Pretty cool.
At which point you need to learn how to do some CNC stuff, so that way you can while you're hand carving.
That's not
one,
handmade. What are you doing?
It's still handmade. My hand
woodworking.
moved the mouse, and we talked about this in an episode.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
talked about this in a few episodes.
The great debate.
Anybody else got anything going on in their shop?
Well, I was going to throw it to somebody. I kind of remember. Nick, what's going on in your shop?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready. So me and Nap are doing a thing on Saturday.
Yep. And I got more information for you after the podcast as well.
And then,
wow. Secrets.
Yeah, you can just text it to me, Nap. I don't know. I'm busy. I've got a lot of orders for Christmas, like due at around Christmas-ish or right before. And I've got quite a bit of orders to tackle for after Christmas. Most of the stuff I have projected out is for like mid to late January. I did have a customer come up to me and say, it was one of Nap's former customers. Well, he's probably still Nap's customer, but Nap's taking December off. So
stole him.
I was like, hold on now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So,
I passed this person to you.
Yeah. So he came up to me and he's like, I want to do this. And for somebody leaving, and I'm like, oh, sweet. When is it due? He's like, oh, in like 14 days. I'm like, oh, awesome. So I was like, well, what do you want? He's like, I don't know. Well, okay. Any specifics? Nope. All right. Well, what do we got to do to get this nailed down? He's like, well, I got to get with like 30 other people to figure it out. I'm like, oh my goodness, man. we're having, we're going to have some time issues here eventually. If it's, 2 weeks to do like a larger build is kind of pushing it. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah,
you better hammer them with a freaking rush fee. I'm just saying.
Well, so I was supposed to meet the guy twice now. To get together with him and like draw out some sketches and stuff for him, just so I can get an idea of what's going on, get all the goodies. But they've postponed now twice. So if they keep pushing, man, it's going to be like, look, bro, I'm not, I'm not a miracle worker. I can work fast, but
like a week is almost like drop dead time.
It's pushing it. So I did that one butt build for that dagger. Remember the bayonet?
Yeah.
I did that in like 2 days. But even then, I don't even think the oil was dry on the wood when I handed it off. So, but other than that, though, just kind of trying to manage my time as best as possible because regular work and this and Christmas and the kids and all that stuff, things take priority. Like, obviously the family takes priority. So I got to be sure to preserve that time as best as possible. And has anybody seen the price of Christmas trees?
It's ridiculous. It's a scam.
Are you freaking kidding me, man? Like, just because we didn't have Christmas last year, now you're going to just jack the price up on all the trees? Come on.
I had no problem buying mine. I just went up into my attic and pulled down the bag.
Well, yeah. So I moved though, and mine got destroyed. Well, it was like 15 years old anyway. It was falling apart. It looked like a dead tree with lights on it.
I just bought this thing 15 years
So
ago. Is
Christmas
there
tree,
warranty?
green spray paint, man.
Well, there was nothing to spray paint. It was all like
You could have said it was like, the tree of 2020.
I
It
was
got
tasked.
COVID.
I was tasked to go find a Christmas tree because I don't want a real one because that's just a pain. I want this to be. I want to get good return on investment here, right? So
Return on investment. You're selling the tree later on?
no, so like basically, you don't have to buy a new tree every year. If you buy a new a real tree, you're gonna have to just keep purchasing a tree every year if that's the way you want to go. Plus, then you're gonna have to deal with like sap.
Okay, we get it. You don't like pine, either in tree form
Look,
or in
it
wood
has
form.
nothing to do with me not liking pine, but I ended up getting one of those. It's coming in on this weekend, but I have another memory box to do. Did I tell you guys about that?
No.
No.
Yeah, I got another memory box to do. That's due in early January, and then we are now the Sawdust Station podcast is now an affiliate of OMTech Lasers. I know I was forgetting something, but that's very important because if you are looking to get an OMTech laser, yep, Josh, AJ, we have our very own link that you can purchase through, and it will benefit you because you get the laser, and we can help you. Well, I can help you. Nap can help you with if you're having troubleshooting issues, right?
Dang.
Josh might be able to.
Dang.
Josh can help you if you get the Glowforge, but
Yeah.
since we already have Chinese lasers like that, we can help you with setup. Nap can definitely help you out with that rotary, right? Is my mouth cashing checks or writing checks you can't cash or what?
Oh, no. I can help with rotary. Oh, and if you have a problem with alignment, I'll talk more when I talk about my shop.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the podcast benefits because we're doing business with OMTech now. So if you're in the market for a laser, please check out OMTech Lasers. Get a hold of us. We'll shoot you our very own link. This way you can buy it through them, through that link.
My link that Josh sent me didn't work so well. It still said I owed money. I was waiting for the free to come up.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's definitely not it. But other than that, I don't have anything else going on. I'm going to kick it over to Nap right now.
Past couple episodes, I've been talking about how I'm trying to get things out of the shop that I haven't due on. I will say that I'm finally successful on getting rid of a lot of things in my office that have been sitting here /complete /halfway finished. There's only one project right now that I'm working on that I'm trying to get done by like tomorrow evening and then out of my house so I can say finally I don't owe anybody anything like ASAP. But let's see, in the past 3 days, because I was kind of sick. Let's see, what is today? Tuesday. So on Saturday, I was still kind of sick, so I didn't get a whole lot done. Sunday, I think I was the most productive that I had been in the shop probably in like a week. But I ended up knocking out a quick desk name placard thing out of walnut. Took some 8-quarter that I had sitting under the bench, took a 45-degree angle off in it, lasered some stuff, did some edges, put some of the old Odie's oil on there, which is an amazing finish. You haven't used it yet, you're missing out. And that's sitting on the shelf curing right now. I actually give it to the customer tomorrow, so that's pretty awesome. I finished up. A guy brought to me 2 pieces of Lowe's red oak, premium oak put together with some pocket holes. And I told him, hey, man, do you mind if I take the reins on this and do a couple things before I etch it and put some holes in it for you for a golf ball display? He goes, yeah, go ahead. So I may or may not have taken the pocket screws out, ran it through the joiner, jointed it correctly, glued it, did all the stuff that needed to be done, and then did all the etchings and stuff, made sure everything was squared off for him. He came and picked that up today, so that was pretty awesome. I have a friend of mine that is retiring on the 17th of December, and kind of mimicking some chest, like a chest that I made / the way Nick does his memory boxes. So this individual actually brought me a lot of really cool stuff, like the old BMT or basic military training, what is it, like memory work / guidebook and stuff like that of like rules of engagement, all this stuff. He brought me stuff from when he first came in. And it's kind of cool to take like that walk down memory lane. So I'm making a retirement chest or box that's going to have 2 trays with some space in the bottom. The space in the bottom is going to house any like BMT shirts that he had from when he was a military training instructor. The second tray is actually going to be I'm going to call it the walk down memory lane tray. So he's going to have one section to where it's just all of the documents and stuff from when he first came in, his BMT certificate, all those things. And then in the top right corner is going to be some coins, and then like a small coin tray that'll house like his most important coins to him. So probably his airman's coin and those things. And then there'll be one more section. So it'll be partitioned in 3 different sections. And then the third section will be like just other miscellaneous things that he had from his career. Then the second tray is going to be the shadow box itself with no flags in it. And I'll talk about the flags in a second. So the second tray will just be the actual shadow box, because I thought about gravity, and gravity is a real thing. So if I put the actual box inside the lid facing down, stuff has a chance of one day falling out. So I was like, that's not really going to work for me. And then flipping it the other way and having a plexiglass top wasn't much of an option because, one, I don't have a lot of time to experiment, and I don't really want to fail on this project. I don't mind failing normally, but this particular project is kind of important to me, especially because it's a friend, and I don't want to fail. So I'm making it the tray instead, which is a safer bet. It'll look very nice, and it'll be presentable as soon as you open the top. Now, in the top, it's going to house the American flag and the Air Force flag. So like I did with that chief chest, that dual promotion chest I did a while back, how I had the cork backer. Well, it's going to have that same cork backer, but it's going to have the flags up on the top left and right corners, just mitered in there with the plexiglass. That way you still have the flag aspect of a shadow box. So that's got to be done by December 17th. I start that this weekend, no matter where I'm at with certain jobs. Other jobs can wait. These folks know that, hey, I am busy, and, I give them a good updates, and they're very understanding. So that's the huge job I have. Then I got that hat box that's been giving me some issues. Thank God for a trim router. I don't know why my CNC either missed a step or skipped a couple steps, something or other, but we'll just say some things went awry, and I have to do a couple extra things to make it work. But I need to have that done by like tomorrow, maybe Thursday, because that needs to leave. That's been in my shop too long, and it's literally like giving me anxiety because it's been here too long. I made a couple other little things. I have a hat stand due just 10 December, made out of walnut. That won't be too bad. I have one of those family tree, like, hey, here's my kids' dates and stuff, things to make for Christmas. I'm literally going to laser it out with some plywood, some spray paint, and some things. That won't be too hard of a task. I have a flag box that I got to make, a burial flag box. So World War II veteran, he's such passed away, and they want to get his spouse a flag box. So I'm going to make the flag box and have it sent up to Plano, Texas, which isn't too far from here. And then I've got a couple other little things, but I'll talk about the other things maybe later on down the road for the podcast, because one of which is probably not going to happen until next week or 2 weeks from now. And then I got a walnut hat box with no lights, a typical MTI or military training instructor hat board. So those aren't too crazy. Those won't take me too much time. But lots going on in the shop. However, I did learn quite a bit even while I was sick. So even though I wasn't working on projects in the shop, I was actually fine-tuning machinery in my shop. And actually, Nick got to enjoy the fruits of my labor because I ended up coming to his house and actually fixing his laser up a bit and improving some efficiency things for him as well. So if you do get a CO2 laser, number one, align that SOB, okay? Because believe it or not, the alignment of a laser is extremely important. It could mean the difference between cutting through 6 millimeter plywood in one pass versus 5 or 6 passes. I learned this because I literally spent 2 hours fine tuning my laser, which it's not perfect yet, but I have bought an alignment tool. It's like a reverse bore scope for anybody that's sighted rifles or guns or anything like that. It actually like helps you set up a perfect alignment. But for where I'm at now, I'm literally cutting through 6mm, which is about roughly a 1/4 inch plywood in one pass, which has literally increased my speed by quite a bit, honestly. I'm using less percentage, which then also increases the life of my laser tube. And then on top of that, the rotary business, I'm eventually upgrading the rotary that I have from whatever that is, my Chinesium, to a Rotoboss. For those of you that know what a Rotoboss is listening, you know that's not a very cheap upgrade. So I'm waiting. I'm biding my time, but I will be getting one of those because it literally can rotary anything, like anything. But there's an individual that I actually I don't know if he wants his name said in here, so I'm not going to say his name. But the individual, he did have a 2-hour conversation with me. And the only reason why he reached out, and this is why we preach this stuff, is community over competition. The dude saw that I was trying to help people out on a forum that were having similar issues to me, and saw that I put in a lot of effort to try to help folks out. And he said, you're literally the second person I've talked to out of all the people having issues, because you actually put the effort in to help others with no benefit to yourself. So if that doesn't speak volumes, be sure that if someone does ask for help, just help them out, because you never know what might come down the road. This same individual is also helping me reconfigure my laser to run rotary off a whole separate controller and driver in my laser. And when I learn how to do that, I'm going to go to Nick's house. I'm going to show him how to do it. And then when Josh gets one, I will walk Josh through it. When AJ gets one, the same thing. So that's just paying it forward. That's what this community is for. But yeah, so that's the laser news. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I did get a couple things. So yes, Josh sent me my awesome mallet. The lights blinding my awesome logo. But yes, this thing is pretty awesome. I can't wait to smack someone with it. Something, not someone, I mean. Sorry. Eric Pennington from the Red Raven Wood Shop. Okay. He sent me a pen. I did a quick live off the Sawdust Nation podcast the other day. Just real quick, like, hey, I wanted to open it for everyone because I figured it'd be cool just to give him a shout out live when I got it. But he did make me this awesome piece of art, because everything he makes is unique. So this pen is pretty awesome. I've already used it quite a few times. He also sent me with this awesome little satchel that it comes in. But I got to give a special shout out to another maker that's a different maker for these stickers, because I didn't know this was even a thing. These guys gave me some crap. They're like, Nap, that's veneer. Well, yes, I know veneer is wood. Okay, wood is veneer and vice versa. But she makes these really cool stickers out of veneer. And I'm trying to get it to, there we go. For my Patrons, you can see this. Excuse me again. It is a wood grain sticker. And right now I'm trying not to be a terrible podcast host. I'm trying to get to my page just to make sure I get the tag right here. It is at simply.sawdust. Reach out to Gloria over there if you're interested in maybe some veneer stickers, because they're pretty awesome. But other than that, that's what's going on in my shop and all the cool things that have been happening over here in Texas. Josh, what's going on in your shop, bud?
Well, it's been an interesting week. Since the last time we talked, I have got my kit from PWN CNC. I got my water-cooled spindle. I did a live opening of that. I'm kind of going through what was included and what you needed once you got that. I have yet to set it up because I have a baseline project I'd like to do. And it's going to be the Sawdust Nation podcast logo, and then the background is going to be a flag. So I'm going to do a baseline with the current setup I have. And then once that's all carved up, I'm going to go ahead and replace the old kit with the new kit. And we're going to run it for its paces and see what it could do. And do the same project. I'm going to be looking at time. I'm going to be looking at how the carve is. And it's going to be fun because you know what? When I am done with these two projects and they're all painted up and ready to go, probably going to be giving those away at one of the lives that we do. So be on the lookout for that. So a huge thank you to PWN CNC. Daniel, you really hooked me up. Love the Skittles. I ate those before I put the actual CNC together.
You
so
fat
sorry.
kid, you.
I usually don't go for the candy, but in that particular case, it was awesome. And the tumbler is already in use. But I can't wait to put the actual kit together. I got the bucket today. I already have, all the fluids I need. And once, some time on the actual kit that he sent me, I'm going to upgrade to a chiller eventually just to make it a little bit easier for, packing and moving and just easy use. But other than that, it's a great kit. If you haven't checked him out yet, you need to check out his spindle kits at PWN CNC. He has Instagram and a webpage, and you can locate his webpage through any of our bios and link trees. So moving on to the rest of the stuff going on in the old shop, my squadron has commissioned me to do a few Christmas ornaments. I gave them two different options. I said thin, which is basically a laser project that cuts everything out on the laser, engraves everything, and I just paint the back blue or color. And then the thicker version is basically a CNC project where it cuts it out and then I take it to the laser and engraves on there. So already done half the amount that they require. I just have to do the CNC portion and get that knocked out. So it's a nice little project to get knocked out, especially because now, my work will be known throughout the squadron, which we all know could be a good or bad thing. So we'll see how that works out. I'm hoping for the good and not the bad, but we'll see. I've been doing some 3D printing, having some fun with that. I've been doing a lot of stuff for the kiddos. I have a new spider, I guess you could say, in the shop / house, Steve, and just printed up another one with different colors called Dan. And we're going to be having some fun on my page with that, so stay tuned. But it's just some learning, 3D printing, some different things, and trying some different types of filament. So these are printed with ABS versus the PLA that I normally do. And because of that, it's just a little bit different. So moving on, I finished the liquor box that was sent out the other day and got that out. It turned out pretty good.
Did they like it?
Oh, they loved it. I explained it to them. They saw my page, and that's how they got a hold of me. So they had an idea that I was going to use the cherry, the reddish. But when I gave it to them, it was like, I said it in one of my stories. When someone talks to you and they say, this is what I want, this is how I want it done, blah, 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 and you take it down. So when they receive it, when they see it for that first time, you can see if you nailed it or not. It's all over their face. And like, they were all lit up and happy. And, that's all you can ask for.
I think everybody here likes liquor boxes, so.
Well, it wasn't for them. It was a gift for a friend, but they seemed to like it. And then the Flag Challenge coin holder was picked up as well. It was actually the same location. It was dual going away. Two people come out. They kind of looked at each other. And I was handing projects out of my truck as they came out. They both went over very well. And those Flag Challenge coin holders are pretty fun to make. I mean, they're not difficult by any means. I mean, they have the difficulties and depending on which kind of patch they're going to use. But, every project has their own difficult portion to it. The two mallets I'm making for the Army, I finally used the mortiser. I strapped it down, turned it on, and prayed because, it's supposed to make a straight hole. Not really having much experience with it. I was kind of nervous using it. But once I did the first one, I ran right into the second one. I was able to make the 45 cuts right on the table saw right after. And then I CNC'd where the coins are. The handles already fit. The slot for the coins are done. I just have to epoxy those in. And then I have to do the engraving. In theory, I could do these. I could pretty much do the entire mallet in one day and then epoxy it overnight, let it dry, clean it up, and maybe polish it up and send it out the door by the end of the day. So 3, maybe 4-day process is now down to a 2-day. If I do it in the beginning of the day, I could probably do it in 1.5 days. So that one tool has sped up production in the shop. So I'm extremely happy with it. I already have, 4 other blanks. And what I think I'm going to do when I get cut up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do the 45 cuts, the coin cuts. And basically, when they order one, the only thing I got to do is put the coin in and lay it, the engravings, put it together, and call it a day. We'll see how that plays out in the future.
Do you? I'm sorry to stop you real quick. With the coin inlay, would you already make the spot for it, or you wait for their specific coin because maybe it varies?
It doesn't vary. It's the same squadron.
Oh, okay.
The only thing is they won't give me a stack of them. I don't know why, but they want to hand me one each time. So currently I'm waiting on to get paid for one and the coin, but someone else placed the order. I already got the coin, I already got paid, and I actually put it at Etsy to make it for a faster transaction with these squadrons. And basically what it comes down to is the Army doesn't want to really do it through Etsy. They'd rather just do it in person, but I gave them that option. So if they ever decide to go that road, it's easy. The United States Marine Corps that's on here base, I'm doing mounts for them. They're like, yeah, throw it at Etsy. We'll just order through that. And then when you're done, call us and we'll pick it up. I have an order through that. I'll be making that as well. That's in the process of being made. It's a little different. I highly recommend that you go through Etsy or a service like that, just so you don't lose the details. And I'm going to get into this real quick because it's important. Now, I've never lost details to a customer before, but for some reason, at one of these mallets, they sent me a text message with all the information. That message was gone. I could not find it in my archives. I could not find it in my regular messenger. I couldn't find it anywhere. I have no idea what happened to it. I was lucky enough that their two customers were from the same unit. I was able to email one. They gave me the contact information, and I contacted the client. And he sent it right away. And he's like, no problem. You know, it happens. But it was embarrassing. It was something I had to go out of my way with, spend time on, and I could have already been engraving one of these mallets. I am really trying to push everything to Etsy or to a service like that, because I know when I do invoices through Square, if I have a question of what was discussed, I throw every detail into that invoice. So it's all right there. When they pay, they agree to what that detail is. And then I can go right in there and be like, oh, yeah, that's right. They wanted this on the left-hand side, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a little tidbit that I've been learning the hard way, necessarily in a good way. Some good, some bad. Let's see. What else have I been up to? Red Raven Woodshop. Me and him have been talking quite a bit, and he actually got a hold of me to go ahead and create little logos for him to inlay into his projects. And we did a little work trade with that. I have those almost complete. It's kind of like a sampling of like 100 pieces of different various wood, cherry, walnut, poplar, maple, quarter-inch ply with maple veneer on it, and stuff like that, just so he can understand if he ever orders them again or wants to order them again, what exactly is what. Because obviously the ply with the maple veneer is going to cost less than the maple and stuff like that. And I wanted to give him a sampling of that. It's between us and everyone that's listening, obviously, he's going to get a lot more than 100. I've already cut 100 and I'm still cutting. I just want to make sure that he's going to have plenty. He's a great guy, great in the community, and he does a lot for the community. So I want to kind of give a little more than what's asked. So I'm knocking those out for him. Hopefully we'll be sending that out here sometime soon. And that's pretty much what's going on in my shop. You know, trying new things. I have a lot to do. A lot of things coming up. Tracking down customers. I have a shadow box that is due mid-December, about 2 weeks from now, and I have yet to get paid, but I have all their stuff. That's an interesting one because it ain't from the member itself. It's actually from their squadron, and the squadron needs to be paying me, but they haven't even moved forward with the payment at all. It's just one of those things where, like, eventually, if they'll not answer me, I have to reach out to the member and explain to them what's going on. I don't want to do that because it was supposed to be all taken care of for them and not have to worry about it. But it's getting down to kind of crunch time, and I really need to do something.
You know, no money, no work. Okay, you give me no money, you get no work.
I would love to do things on faith, but I've been burned in the past and actually bought specialized tools for the project that I was going to do. And then they're like, nah, we don't need it anymore. And I was like, but I just
your blood boils.
Yeah, it does. So lessons have been learned in the past. And I maybe ones or twosies, people I know I could trust that go through, I'll let slide a little bit. And not much, just a little bit, mostly because I know where they work. But that being said, that's about it in the shop. I wanted to take this time before we jump into questions and talk about any kind of topics to welcome a new Patreon, Clinton Caraway, CNC. He joined us on the 23rd of November, and I just wanted to welcome him to the Patreon page and hopefully enjoys the content. With that being knocked out, I do believe, gentlemen, unless you have a topic you want to talk about, we have 3 to 4 questions.
Oh, man, you were just talking about getting burned. Oh, I got a quick one.
What's up?
We just finished a flag with not 1, not 2, but 3 emblems that Kim had to paint, and I was going to get ready to stain it. And then the customer messaged me, goes, I don't want it anymore.
Bro.
I was like, hi, she just finished painting. I'm like, so I'm not going to burn it. I'm not going to sand it off. I mean, she spent how much time painting all this. So we worked out a deal and whatnot, and I'm sending it to her finally. But I was like, you got to be, literally, the brush just stopped on the last one, and I got a message. I was like, oh, it's the girl. I was like, oh, hey, she doesn't want it anymore.
Yo, that's why I take payments up front, man. There ain't no going back once I start that project.
It was a maker within the community, and I was like, that leeway, and then you get burned. But like I said, we made it work out. Oh man, I actually forgot to mention something else. The maker community, not only do we help each other out, but it's pretty cool. I just got a message the other day. Some guy messaged me. He makes leather work, and also his big thing is leather flags. And he makes them wavy. And he actually asked me.
Wait, whoa, leather flags?
Yeah. He makes smaller, like 17 by 10. So my small flag, he makes them out of leather and actually created a jig so he can create the waves in it. So I guess he steams them or whatever, and then it molds it to it. He actually reached out and said, would I be willing to make him a wood template? So one of my wavy flags so that he can utilize it and make his wavy leather flags. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So he gave me dimensions. He needs it X amount of thick, blah, blah, blah. So I said, how about this? How about we trade? And he's like, okay. He says, you make me the mold and I'll make you a leather flag. So I'll have at some point a nice leather flag in my office. And it was pretty cool because I got to meet a new maker, somebody doing something different. And pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess it's possible. I don't think I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I'll have to send you his
yeah, I would like to check it out.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I'm good for. We want to hop into questions.
Let's hop into some questions.
Okay,
because they're good questions.
Victor from Whim Designs sent us a voicemail, and we'll go ahead and play that. Meow.
Hey guys, Victor here from Whim Designs. I just wanted to take a second and say thank you for everything you guys do. You have answered a lot of my questions, and I'm sure a lot of other people's questions, and I know that takes time. So my question for tonight is this: when you're done with your service, if you decide to get out, what do you plan on doing? What's the end goal for this business, this hobby? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Thanks, guys. Have a good night, and keep up the good work.
All right.
Well, I clearly can't answer that.
He doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up.
I mean, I
want to be an astronaut.
I could take first stabs at this thing.
Go ahead.
So first of all, excuse me. But second off, so I hate to say this, Victor, but in 5 years, I'll unfortunately still be in the military. I won't be living my dream yet. But I will say this: when I do eventually exit the military, I actually want to be doing this. I don't want to work for nobody. I want to have that 30 by 30 shop on some land, maybe bigger, who knows? Maybe have a couple apprentices / employees under me doing some of the other stuff that maybe I don't like to do, like glue ups and planing and milling. I hate doing that stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, just everything.
You mean
they can do everything.
Assembling,
but no,
buying lumber.
I hate everything except getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. But no, honestly, like I think I might have like an apprentice or two working just for myself, by myself. I really don't want to work for anybody ever again if I can help it. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, this working for somebody stuff, especially when sometimes these people don't know what they're talking about, gets a little old, and I'm a little tired of it.
That was a sharp one.
Yeah, that was a very sharp one. No one in particular, but I've had some bosses out there. We talk about being burned by customers. I've been burned by bosses. Sometimes you just want to have your fate in your own hands. So yeah, when I get out, I definitely want to just do this as a full-time thing. And by then, I mean, I'll have perfected my craft in certain things and hopefully to be learning other things. Because I do want to get into metalworking. I definitely want to do the whole leatherworking thing. I kind of started dabbling in that. because I eventually want to be an all-around maker, not just a woodworker. Because I like all the different processes that go into making. Period. So that's my take on it. Thanks for the question. It's a good question.
Man, you got to throw it to someone.
No, I'm not throwing it. AJ, since you are, the person that's here, you probably should have answered this first. But I was chomping at the bit to answer this. So, but AJ, I know you're not, you said you can't really answer this.
I know I'm not as cool as you guys because I'm not in the military. You could say it. It's fine. I understand.
I don't know if it's cool, but
I understand. I'm just a peasant, civilian.
Peasants. Y'all seen the meme, right?
No, we haven't. There's a big goal. There's a big goal of mine that let's just put it this way. I'm investing money in my my retirement. And I was told by my investor that possibly if I do everything right, within 3 years, I might be able to actually fulfill my goal of becoming full-time and quit my job and then live in my garage and die down there. And that'd be a good thing. I would love to be surrounded by wood all day, every day.
We know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, here I'll be there. I'll be there next week. Don't you worry.
That's my goal. Hopefully I'm shooting for 3 years. So within what is it? By the time my last flag is out the door, I'll probably be going full time, and then no one else will order anything, and then I'll just make a whole bunch of stuff. I'll become a content creator.
Just your luck, man. Like by the time your last flag's out the door, you're like, well, I'm full time now, and everybody's gone.
Crickets.
It would be like this. It would be like, oh, I'm getting orders literally like 5 a day at this point. Hey, everybody, I went full time. Oh, remember those orders that I wanted for next month? Yeah, I canceled all those.
You think? I've seen your process, or at least the majority of your process. Do you think you're gonna like industrialize your process a little more?
If I can get to a point where there's no rush, like right now, I'm in crunch time because I have literally no time left to get Christmas orders out. But my ultimate goal is to get a whole bunch of blanks glued up. 3-footers, 2-footers, small ones. 4-footers are rare. They're coming up a little bit now, but the majority, I would like to get at least blanks, if not already carved and stained flags, like traditional red, white, blue, thin blue line, thin red line. And then if they need something custom, then I can focus on that more. But if somebody said, hey, I want a 3-foot, red, white, and blue, all right, here you go. And I'm switching over to cedar to pretty much do all my flags so that they could be used inside or out. So then it's like a one-stop shop at that point. So hopefully I'll be able to get enough stock put away that I don't have to be, running around like a crazy guy trying to find wood, trying to get the time, trying to rip it down. Cause you gotta let it rest after you do certain processes, because if you don't, then you're going to screw yourself in the long run. I mean, I sometimes cut wood, let it rest for a couple of days, and you just see that stuff just tweak, and it's going off in the left direction.
Yeah,
if I glued that up,
every time you cut it, you
destroyed.
release tension. So you just
I mean, you see it, you guys know, and if you glue it up too fast, it might compromise the project. And luckily, I've gotten down to a science where I'm able to alleviate that a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping to ramp it up a little bit. I was almost thinking of even hiring somebody to rip down all the wood into strips and then maybe do glue ups so it's done. But I don't want to pay anybody else. I enjoy doing it.
It kind of sounds like, someone just said that earlier and I got ridiculed, but
But he can grow a mustache.
Yeah, he can. It's pretty glorious at that.
What about you, Nick?
So when I retire in a couple of years, I plan on anytime you go into a venture like out on your own, it's always nice to have like a safety net. And I don't want to say it's a safety net, like a guaranteed safety net, but so since my wife is a nurse, I can afford more than likely. I'll be getting a retirement and VA benefits, but I'll be able to afford to go out on this venture and try to be full time and run a shop. Ultimately, my goal is to have, I don't want to say like a monopoly, but like more of a preferential treatment by the military in the area for their gifts for each other if we're going away and stuff like that. Just because I've seen some of the, not knocking any other makers, but I am knocking some of the companies that turn out trash and charge a ton of money
Yep.
It's like, you got to be kidding me, man. You paid how much for that piece of like rubber wood from Indonesia that's like garbage, and they just laser etch it and send it on its way. So,
not to interrupt you, man, but a majority of these people that do the engravings, they don't even clear out the burn marks.
Nope.
Sure don't. They don't even care. They don't care.
Like simple stuff like rubbing alcohol would take care of that. It's just, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it drives me absolutely insane when I see it.
The gears have been ground.
I see like, just like on builds, like shadow boxes and stuff, there's like flaws on the construction, or they mass produce, they buy it mass produced. It's all oak. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oak is like the ugliest wood. Excuse my language, besides pine, but oak is like the ugliest wood to have like an heirloom gift that you're gonna treasure for the rest of your life because you're retiring. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, there was like a phase in the 90s where oak was in and everything was made out of oak.
Oak was huge, but now if you put ash and oak next to each other, because I was commissioned to possibly build a shadow box, and so I'm going to be coming to you fine gentlemen, especially you, Nick, because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I was thinking of using ash. Wouldn't you say ash is kind of like similar to oak?
The porous grain structure, but it's I don't know, just the way they stain it. You know,
use cherry, bro.
Use cherry. Cherry will say it's about the same price. I mean, I think it's a little more expensive, but
$1.
Yeah, but it's totally worth it.
You're down in Texas where you have amazing prices. We're up in Jersey where we have inflated prices.
Well, so here's the deal, man. A nice piece of ash will get you far regardless. However,
not if it ruins your life.
That's the name of our episode.
That's right. That's right. A nice piece of ash. But I'm telling you, man, get some cherry, you know?
Yeah.
Try. It cuts so much nicer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't splinter. You don't have as much blowout if you're running CNC. It's really nice. So,
and
bust that
I've
cherry.
Fallen in love with cherry. Yeah, I was doing the trays out of cherry, and I mean, I saw that. I don't know if you saw that picture on my Instagram, but that cherry had like one knot, and then it was just pure like red inside, which was mind blowing because I've never seen cherry that like vibrant with color. I think it was all air dried too.
So, like, cherry is like for furniture, cherry is like an older person's, like a more older person's preference. Newer, like younger people prefer like who like heirloom furniture, obviously.
Younger people like IKEA.
Well, but what I mean is like walnut or like woods that stand out, like maple or walnut. It has a stark contrast to each other. But cherry's kind of like if you do it right, man, cherry can be absolutely gorgeous. And if you're on a budget, you can use poplar and make it look just like cherry. They're so similar.
Dude, some poplar I've seen poplar before with purple and whatnot, but I picked up this piece from Home Depot, the best lumber store in the country. And let me tell you, there was more purple in there, I think, than the Purple Heart I have.
Yeah, especially I know at Diamond Lumber they have 8-quarter poplar, and it has that beautiful color to it. But Nat brought his wood in here. I don't know what he's doing with it. What do you doing?
See your wood, man.
Dude, about the cherry thing. Okay, so first of all, I've seen curly maple. I've seen curly walnut. I've seen some amazing stuff that Nick puts out. But I kid you not, I've never thought I'd have a find like this, and I'm glad I didn't chop this entire 2 boards up, because I have a 7-foot section and a 6-foot section of curly cherry.
That's quilted.
And I can see it. It's some of it's quilted, actually, in fact. I can see it now in the rough cut or the rough of the lumber. I'm so glad I didn't chop that whole thing up, because now I have two sections left that look like, I don't know if my Patreons can be able to see this, but you've seen it in my Instagram.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can see it kind of a little bit. But I kid you not, I never thought cherry 1 could even look like that. Like, I know most woods, that are tight grain like that can have that curl or that quilted look. But man, I was like, I am lucky right now. And that exact cherry is actually being used for my buddy's retirement chest. I'm so glad I didn't do anything crazy with those last 2 rough cut pieces, because Josh sat there and was like, Nap, don't you dare. and I
I
was
was buying
like,
plane tickets, man.
he was
Yeah,
about
right.
to come kill me. Like, but yeah,
Hey,
sorry, I didn't mean to steal it, but
No. But speaking of like a rare find that you would come across, did you ever find? And I'm going to probably blow your mind with this, but did you ever find spalted pine?
so I've heard of
You
this,
did.
and it may
You
or may
did.
not have been in an episode, and you couldn't prove it, but it's fine.
I did prove it. I got the pictures to prove it. I still even have the wood because it's too valuable. I won't even use it.
That's like holding on to a Corsica from the '91. Like,
Oh, that I'm gonna put just the stud up on the wall with the sign.
Can you
Spalted
believe?
pine?
Do you believe?
did you go, Josh? Did you tell us what you're gonna do when you get out?
No, I haven't yet. And it falls in line with the majority of what you guys have said. When I do get out, I'm going to probably, find a part-time job, let the wife take the wheel for a little while, let her career blossom, and, see what I can do when it comes to having a full-time business on the side. And if I'm bringing in enough money, then I'll quit that part-time job and I'll go full bore. But, that transition between having military life and then civilian life I don't think I'm going to do well when it comes to like if I just walked right into the shop. I think I'm having a real job, get something on a resume, work a little bit, and then I'll pop into the shop and try to do that full time. But we'll see. You never know. I would definitely like to go full time right off the bat, but I don't want to step into something and have it fail when I could tiptoe into it and then let it take over slowly. I think it's the safest way for me and my family. If I was in a situation in a location where business was taken off constantly, like if I was by a military base and had orders constantly, stuff like that, absolutely. But moving in cold somewhere or doing something like that without having any prior projects out there in the area, I'm going to have to work my way up, from scratch again. So I'll do that with a part-time job and more time in the shop than I have now. But that's the plan. We'll see how it works out. That's Wim's great question. Great question.
Sparked a lot of good conversation there.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple other questions. You guys want to read them or do you got pulled up?
I think we could do maybe one more, just because this is the 75th episode, and having special guests, AJ. I think we could do one deeper question.
Okay.
Maybe
you want to choose that question?
Maybe the jobs that we hate. I don't have it pulled up right this second. If someone has them before I do, I gotta get to our chat here. But there was something about like jobs we hate to do, I think.
I think that was AJ's question.
Hello.
Why don't you go ahead and do a voicemail of your question?
So I was just curious if there was any jobs that you guys still do, but kind of regret ever admitting that you even do it to anybody, like, or offering it, So like I was talking earlier, the 4-foot flag is one that I absolutely hate doing. The small, medium, and large, I'll do all day long. But once it hits 4 foot, it's kind of like I drag my feet until it's too late. And then, crunch time. And then I got to get it done. So what are your jobs that you might hate, but still do? Nap? Oh, no, go ahead, Nick.
Nick, hit it up, man.
I saw the blank stare on Nap, so I just figured
I turn tricks for cash. But anyway, Nap, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So honestly, although it's a pretty good moneymaker because it's made out of our nemesis, oak, and painted at that, these military and training instructor hat boards that I make, they're cool, right? But they're a little heavy. And they're just so time consuming. Like, you gotta cut this, cut that, frame thing this, frame thing out that, cut letters, paint letters, glue letters, pucks, this, that, and the other. Like, there's just so many like little intricate things that I don't think I'm charging enough, but at the time, because they were coming in volume, okay, I'm no mathematician, but if someone orders 70 of these things at, we'll say $250 a piece, I'm gonna make them. Okay, because red oak. All right, I'm gonna suffer through it, but I ain't gonna lie. I kind of wish I would have never started doing those because there's people that still want them, and they're just kind of like a nuisance at times. Yeah, Josh, what about you?
It kind of goes against what my initial mission statement was in large furniture. So I really want to get into like fine furniture, always have, but in this shop, it's a nightmare. I don't have the room for it. And to like paint something, it's just a nightmare. Now, if I had a huge workspace where I had a painting booth and all this other nonsense, not a big deal. But for me to have a large project going in the shop with a bunch of smaller ones, it's almost near impossible to do. And I kind of back myself in a corner accepting a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something I do all the time that I hate. It's something that I hate to accept in the conditions I'm working in. Eventually, someday, I'll be able to do larger pieces, but that's mine. Nick?
Nice.
Hand painting stuff. I absolutely cannot stand hand painting anything. So I made a whole bunch of flags starting a couple of years ago where I would paint hold on. Sorry.
I mean, I don't think anyone here likes to hand paint. I know AJ has his wife do it, but
I'm starting to do them now.
No, so it's so time consuming and you lose so much productivity over it. And I would rather I don't know if you've seen the acrylic I've been working with.
Awesome, by the way.
So that the laser does. You design the file and you have the laser cut it out. All you have to do is assemble it. And you still have full color. You have vibrant color. It's shiny or it's matte, whatever you want. It's just, oh man, I would be up to 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get little brush strokes in there. And for me, it's just not worth it. I enjoy creating things that are nice and that are quality, but at the same time, when it gets to that point, I don't want to do it. I absolutely hate it. And I just took another order for a flag with a hand painted thing on it. So,
do you offer the hand paint, or is it just that they want a logo?
They want a logo most of the time. And a lot of times there's things that I refuse to do, like any sort of NFL stuff or any sort of obviously Harley Davidson stuff. But if it's military related, if it's easy, I'll hand paint it and it's pretty quick, because a lot of times what I can do is if it's two-tone and there's a carve out like a recession, I'll paint the recession one color, sand the top, and then roll on the paint on the proud area, which is really easy to do and super fast. But if it's 3, 4, 5 colors and I gotta I'm colorblind, man. It sucks. So I gotta be very careful. I think I made a purple heart one time that was actually blue. I don't remember. Regardless, though, everything looked good. The customer liked it, but it's just so hard to do. And paint is expensive, man. Acrylic paint is not cheap. You're paying close to $20 for a large tube of it, and if you go through it super fast too, if you're doing a lot of orders. So,
what kind of acrylic paint are you using?
It's Acrylatex, or what is it called? Liquitex paint. You get it at Michael's. It's the middle of the road stuff.
Dude, buy Apple Barrel. It's
Apple Barrel jeans.
It's like $1 a bottle,
yes.
And it is some great paint.
Apple Barrel, huh?
It's okay. So when you buy the more expensive paint, it actually fills in a lot quicker, and you don't have to do as many layers.
Yeah, I could say by the Liquitex because I have one of them, and actually I hate it because it's too thick.
Mm-hmm.
But the Apple Barrel, it's nice because the consistency. That I was just curious on which ones you were using. Now, do you ever think of doing this? Because we're actually going to start doing this. I actually had a customer reach out who got sent my way by Mike from Veteran Woodco, and he wants his police badge or police patch put on the flag, but he wants it to stand off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to laser, like you were talking about the acrylic, and I'm going to layer it on top of each other to make this 3D looking badge. Why not maybe even do that?
I mean, I could do that, but I'm not. I mean, regardless, I'm painting either way. But it's just the difference between. I mean, I will do that. I don't know if you've seen my acrylic. It is layered, so doing it with wood is essentially the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have no problem doing that. I want to move away from the whole me getting the brushes out and sitting there for a couple hours painting a flag.
Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, some people like doing that. I like making things that looked more professional. And I don't, for
Mhm.
some reason, I don't think hand painting looks as professional as something that I could manufacture on the CNC, the laser, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's a give and take because some people want that, full on everything's handmade, and when you do it on a CNC and it's so perfect, some people might look at that and go, it looks store bought, if you want to say. But I mean, I can't wait to do this patch because I'm really, really excited to see how I can layer it and whatnot. And painting it isn't going to be so bad because it's all solid colors and there's really no shading, no nothing like that. So I'm going to literally lay the pieces on a piece of cardboard, spray paint them. I'll let them dry before I flip them over so I don't have to worry about any pieces sticking to my cardboard.
Thanks.
No problem. But yeah. So I believe that was on to the next. What's the next question that got sent in?
Let's see
Drum
here.
roll, please.
Yeah.
We got one from Dave Snyder. So Dave Snyder at Dave_Snyder74 asks, "Afternoon, guys. I've got a question for the podcast. What was the best resources you found in order to learn your laser and CNC? Thanks."
What was the best resource? I would say the community, like usual. I mean, I reached out to a ton of makers who didn't even have a millwright, and but I asked them CNC based questions, and then actually I got hooked up with somebody who had the same exact machine, and he walked me through a few things, and then just pretty much anybody who had a CNC gave me great information. What about you, Josh?
With the laser, I kind of learned that the hard way. I kind of did the research and figured it out. But once I got the CNC, it was definitely the community. I reached out to people I knew that had them, that knew what they were doing, and they guided me in the right direction. It's the best resource I found. You can Google all day long, but it's usually when you start talking to someone about the issue, they can get to the point a lot faster and help you along the path. Nap, what do you think?
Hey, so honestly, I kind of gave an example of this earlier, but again, forums, other makers, other folks that are experts in their craft. I mean, guy reached out to me and I literally took my efficiency from one level to a whole nother level because I reached out to him after he started he started the conversation, but then I started picking his brain, and he informed me a lot of stuff on the laser aspect. As far as the CNC stuff goes, believe it or not, Daniel at Pone CNC gave me a lot of insight on a lot of things, especially setting up my spindle originally before he'd even had a spindle set that he created. I actually ended up piecing one together based off of Daniel's recommendations. He helped me with a lot of stuff as far as cooling, how to get the pond pump to work properly, all of these things, all of which are included in his manual that he's going to be getting ready to send out here with his spindle kits. He made it very, very easy to follow, we'll say. But then also just friends. I mean, I started this with a retired Marine. He gave me a lot of my startup stuff. He even asks me questions now. I mean, realistically speaking, yeah, just reaching out to other people because like Josh said, you can Google everything, but normally when you Google everything, you run into like 10 different forums that say different conflicting things. And you're just like, well, which way do I go? So I go with the people that have done it, tried and true, have their setup, their processes. And that's really the easiest way I've learned all of my processes with my laser and CNC. Nick?
So I started with originally I got the machine because I had a friend who had the X-Carve, and I was like, man, this is like revolutionary for people to be at home to make stuff that looks like this production value. And so I leaned on that individual pretty heavily in the beginning, but then I realized like, look, I got to kind of start branching out, doing my own research because I'm bugging the hell out of this guy. You know what I mean? So I started looking on the internet. I looked on YouTube a lot, and then I went on Facebook and joined a couple of support groups, I guess you could say, or forums. And then I found Instagram, and probably Instagram's one of the most driving factors for the quality and the innovation and the just absolute thinking outside the box that I've used. Because I've ripped off so many ideas from so many different makers and made things like my own. If I ever have an issue with something, I have go-tos that I'll call. And I have secondaries and tertiaries as well. Nat being one of them, Josh being another one. So I'll call those guys if I have a question about something, or if I'm trying a new process and I just want to know some, maybe there's some nuances I'm not getting right. Other than that, though, obviously each other is probably one of the best things you can do. At some point or another, though, you're going to have to. There's going to be times when it's like 3 a.m. and you can't call somebody. So you're going to have to either shut it down for the night or start looking on the YouTubes or Google, whatever. But being self-sufficient and self-sustaining is probably invaluable when it comes to this stuff, because you're not always going to have people available to help you. And sometimes around, depends on where you're at and who you're dealing with, you might have to pay for the advice. So just keep that in mind. But Instagram, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yep.
All right.
And the only thing I would say last is just trial and error. That's that's also a good way to learn, because I know probably all of us, did something we thought was right and then found out the hard way it was not so right.
Yeah, well,
all the time.
Yeah.
We have one more question from Brushfires of Freedom 1776. He basically asked, have you all ever taken on a project and not been able to complete it? He recently took on a project that did not turn out acceptable and had to scrap it and start over using a different approach that's new to him. Hopefully he can make it work out this time around. Robert Lee. We'll send it to AJ.
A project that I had to scrap and start over again?
Or just not be able to complete.
yeah, did you return their money?
I've not, to my knowledge, but one that I never started, and then the customer's ghosting me because I took too long to get back to them. I had a bench that I had to build for the end of a bed, and it was out of my wheelhouse, and it was going to be simple, but I was dragging my feet real bad on it. And she was understanding. And then finally I reached out to her and was like, hey, just making sure you still want it. And I never heard back from her. So I know I dropped the ball big time. So it's my fault, but also it was just a big project. I didn't want to start it because I was so inundated with everything else. I'm like, my luck, I'm going to get stuck on this thing now, and I'm not going to be able to do something that I actually want to do, like the flags. So what about you, Josh?
Yeah, I forget what the project was, but I took on a project. I know it was quite a while. It's when I first started, and it was something. It was something pretty large, and they paid me. And I was trying to put it together, trying to get it together. And man, I really wish I knew what it was. I bet you if I asked my wife, she'd know. But eventually it came down to the point where I'm like, I just, at this point in time, can't do this. I don't have the right tools. I don't have the time. I could do it if you give me all the time in the world. But, if they wanted it at a certain time and I just couldn't make the deadline, I was like, look, I'm sorry, but I just can't do this right now. I paid it back to them, and it was what it was, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
So Nick?
Yeah, so I've taken a job before where it was like what AJ saying, it's not in your wheelhouse. I mean, it turned out I always give the customer an option. If it turns out I think it turns out like absolute crap, I'll be like, hey, this is what I have. If you don't like it, I'm totally fine with giving you your money back, because I've never done this before. And I've spent enough of my time. Actually, yeah, there was that one project. Remember I told you about? I returned the lady's money and I gave her the finished project. It was like 2 shadow boxes or something like that. And it just happened to be one of those things where I was like, I think it looks great, but she was like, just kept picking it apart. And at that point I was like, I'm going to give you these 2 shadow boxes. They were for like a wedding set of knives, a knife and a cake scoop. And the other thing was something else. And I was like, I'm going to give you these projects. I'm going to give you all your money back. So this one's on me, but I will not be completing this project or redoing this project for a third time. Because I had brought it back to my shop 2 or 3 times, tore it apart. And after 2 or 3 times, you start losing structural integrity on things. So I was like, man. And then, you got to repaint and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing this. I apologize, but that's that. But most of the time I give them, I'm like, look, if I don't think it looks good, I'll say, hey, this is what I have. If you don't like it, cool. I'll give you your money back. If you like it, great. I'm not going to give you your money back. Anyway,
I had a flag that cupped real bad, and I knew I could see it. I mean, it was almost in like a C, and the customer came and picked it up, and he noticed it right away, and he's like, how you think it'll get worse? And I'm like, if it does, let me know. I'll make you another one. No problem. And I told him, I said, I told you this much money, and I said I'll take less because it's not up to my standards. And this was actually my very first 4-foot flag. I'm sorry, second one. So that's why I hate them so much. And he actually paid me in full, and he was like, "You deserve it. You did a great job." But he loved it. He literally drove away loving it, and still talks about it to this day. And I was like, "It still hasn't fallen apart yet or fallen off the wall?" And he's like, "No, it's still hanging up there." I was just waiting, and he said it hasn't moved anymore, so which is a good thing. But yeah, I had. Now, Nick, do you think she was really picking it apart or picking it apart to see if you'd give her a discount?
No, honestly, I think I made her feel bad for being like, look, ma'am, I at some point I do things I had a standard, or I have a standard, and I thought it was up to that standard, and then she was pointing things out, and I think at that one point it became nitpicky, and I was like, all right, so here you go. I'm not going to mess with this anymore, because this is typically not stuff that I do. I did this because, you just hit me at the right time. I didn't have anything else going on. So I don't know. It was bothering me. So I just kind of, I cut her loose. But at the same time, you got to think all the materials that I bought and all that stuff. Like, so that job was like, I want to say like a $250 job, I think. And I think I spent $175 on materials. So I wasn't making much. And besides the amount of paint that I used and time that I spent on it, I was like, it's not worth it anymore. I typically stay away from things now that if I'm questioning it, if I'm like, I don't know if I can do that or not, I'm not going to just take the job for the sake of taking the job, because I'll recommend somebody. I'll be like, Josh will do it for you.
I've been saying no
He's
more
really
and more.
good at doing those. You just got to really hype him up. Oh yeah, he's done tons of them before.
Thanks. Nap, what about you?
So I've only had this happen once to me, and it was my first shadow box. So shadow boxes happen to be a theme here. But person asked me to make this Purple Heart shadow box. So first of all, if you know anything about Purple Heart, it's a pain in the rear. Okay. And I also really didn't understand the process of making a shadow box properly. I since have successfully made one, thankfully. So now I understand the process. But individual, I told him I was going through some stuff too. And I was like, hey, listen, I can't do this right now. I had glass shatter on me twice. I had the felt wasn't doing what I wanted to do. The backer, I didn't do deep enough rabbits. I screwed this whole thing up. And I was like, hey, listen, I just can't do this anymore. And this was before I started taking payments up front. And she's like, well, what do you have? And I was like, well, I have this. This is what I have. So, well, if I buy the material off of what you have now, can I come grab it? And I was like, yeah, but I really don't feel like comfortable, because I don't even think you can really do anything with it. So they actually still ended up coming and picking it up. And I kid you not, a week later, they sent me $50 for material. That was more than I would have even asked for, to be honest with you. But after that, I was very cautious about jobs they took after that, because if I didn't know how to do it, I just don't know how to do it. And I would actually end up figuring it out later down the road when I had time. So to be honest with you there, if you don't know how to do it, just say no. That's the only advice I can give you. Like Nick said, don't take a job just for the sake of taking a job. Make sure it is in your wheelhouse. That's only what real talk, straight advice I could give you on this particular subject, because it is not so much like it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing when you have to tell somebody that you're making something for that's counting on you to make something. Like, I can't do this, and you've only got a week now to figure it out. So, yeah.
Just a caveat on basically what we all just said. If it's out of your wheelhouse and something you're interested in doing, do a prototype for yourself or someone you know.
Research and development, man.
Exactly.
Save you in the long run from It'll save you from embarrassment when you go make a project for somebody and you just totally just jack it up.
Because, we don't want to tell you not to do something, you know what I'm saying, or take a job, but we want to cautiously tell you, take the job you're comfortable with and know you can complete. And then if you want to do something to add to your resume until you can work out the kinks and then go back and you can accept those jobs. But with that, I think that wraps up all the questions. And we'll throw it over to Nick because he's ready with scissors to tell us about sponsors.
I was actually just texting Daniel from Pwn CNC. Myself and Josh are doing some I don't know what you call it, beta testing or just writing some notes because Daniel's actually writing the manual for his new spindle kit. If you're curious to know what the spindle kit is, check it out. Go to pwncnc.com. He has a 1.5 kilowatt air-cooled spindle and a 1.5 kilowatt water-cooled spindle, and it's a kit. You can buy it, use our promo code SawdustNation10 for 10% off. Definitely make your carves on your X-Carve, Shapeoko, Millwright. They're awesome. They go with all the smaller CNC machines, but they are 65 millimeter in diameter spindles. So just be aware that you might need an adapter for your current spindle mount. But thank you to Daniel for sponsoring this podcast. Check him out on Instagram at PwnCNC. Second off, I want to thank Totalboat for being awesome. Yeah, check him out at totalboat.com for all your epoxy needs. They sell Halcyon varnish, the deep pour epoxy, all that stuff. You name it, they got it. Check them out at Totalboat on Instagram. If you want to ask them a question about a product, their Instagram rep is very responsive. Shoot us a DM if you need a 10% off promo code for them. We will hook you up. And last but not least, Jtechphotonics, thank you so much. The second to last but not least, OMTech Lasers. Buy a laser. Use our code. We'll help each other out. Other than that, I'm going to kick it on over to Nap.
Yeah, so hey, listen, you've probably listened to Spotify or anything like that, but if you happen to listen on the Apple Podcast, go and give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, let us know why, because if you don't tell us why, we can't fix it and give you the content that you so deserve. But yeah, I mean, that's really it as far as the podcast is concerned. If you aren't a Patreon already, make sure you maybe register to become a Patreon so you can see all the fun stuff behind the scenes, the stuff that you don't get to hear on the filtered and cut version of the podcast.
Not only that though, but they get 2 times the entries if they're present for our monthly lives, and they get some pretty cool stuff sent to them. I know we're about to send out some Christmas packages to the patron members. So,
that is correct.
Yeah. Hey. Big thank you to AJ for coming on for the 75th episode. It's nice to have you back, man, for this episode. Hopefully some more randomly throughout the year, if you can. But thank you for coming back, doing the live and doing this episode with us on the 75th. We highly appreciate it. It was a pleasure, man.
It was good coming back. To do a quick shout out to somebody, but if you're in need of vectors to get done, hit up John over at Vector 911 on Instagram. He does amazing work, literally quick turnarounds. I mean, I haven't had any issues with anything he sent me. And if he, the picture's not good,
Johnny
he'll
Chaps
tell you right off the bat instead of just sending you something like junk and everything's. Yeah, Johnny Chaps. That's right. Yeah. Amazing work. So definitely, if you're in need of a vector, he'll get it to you. Just send him a picture, and then and he's not so expensive, so that's even better.
I bought something off him a couple weeks ago. It took 2 hours, and he had it in my inbox. Dude was I
don't want to say that he's going to be quick for everybody, but I told him, hey, look, I screwed up real bad, and I need this kind of soon. And he literally sent it right back to me. And he's really, really nice because he could have charged me to create a vector for this one coin that I had gotten. And he's like, hey, look, I already had this designed up. The only thing it's missing is this word on the bottom. So he's like, if you want, just purchase that file. The file was $1.90 something. So I was like, all right, I'll do it that way then. And he got me the other one in literally a day's worth of time. And I can't thank him enough for it. So I told him I'd shout him out on here, and amazing work every single time.
He's the go-to guy for myself as well. Before we get into final words, I want to ensure that everyone understands how to contact us if they have questions, topics, or ideas to pass along. And if you want to get a hold of AJ here, you can always get a hold of him on Instagram at CraftedNJ. And then you can get a hold of all three of us at Sawdust Nation podcast page on Instagram, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works, LLC, Nick from NPG Creations, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. We actually have to announce our winners as well for the contest that we had. But we could do that the next episode, so we could start off right off the bat. Sorry about that, guys. But if you want to get a hold of us, I guess you have one more week to enter that contest. You can go ahead and do that at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. And you can send in your topic ideas or any questions you have as well. With that, let's get into our final words, starting with AJ.
Final words is I'm going to be having another small giveaway coming up on my page, so stay tuned for that. And I love and miss you all. Nap?
All right. Yeah. Hey, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Hey, just remember, community over competition. Make sure you guys help each other out because at the end of the day, we are a maker community. And we definitely support not only the small shops, but the big shops out there. So if you have any questions, like Josh said, hit us up on Instagram or the Gmail. We're always happy to help. Nick, what you got, bud?
Well, take care of yourselves and each other. And I got just my final words are, if it feels good, do it. No, I'm just playing. Anyway, Josh, go ahead.
You always send me up for such great success. As always, thank you for tuning in and listening to especially this 75th episode. We love it when you guys turn us on so we can whisper in your ears and all the different locations as you choose, your car, your kitchen, your backyard, wherever you could turn us on. As always, go ahead, make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation out!
Well, AJ, nothing's changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, people are turning Josh on now, apparently.
Doesn't take
in their
much.
cars, in their wood shop, in
And
their
sometimes
attic,
even in the bedroom.
in
We've
their
said that.
bedroom.
Yeah, you never know.
A couple times.
Mhm.
Check it out. Here's the secret. You can go ahead and stop recording.
Hold on. So needy.
The secret is